Chapter 1681, Progress. Chapter 1681, Progress. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Inside the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. Mini Central Continent. Fang Yuan's time path clone was slowly flying in the air as he planted the last flower bud. The terrain here had already been modified by him into a marshland that was extremely fertile. A large amount of high-quality silt was spread here. There was also a knee-deep clear river above the layer of silt. The time path clone patted his hand and flew to the sky after giving a last glance at the flower bud. Standing on a high altitude, the man-made marshland entered his sight. This marshland was vast. Fang Yuan's time path clone was unable to take in the whole marshland in his sight. A flower bud, the size of a house, could be seen every few kilometers. These flower buds had quite an origin. They were the buds of a desolate plant, extreme marsh flower. Fang Yuan had obtained a small portion of the extreme marsh flowers in the blue dragon whale's immortal aperture, while the rest were bought from treasure yellow heaven. After taking in the view, Fang Yuan's time path clone breathed in deeply in activated summer gu. Summer gu came from southern borders rank 8 gu immortal Xianxia, and was also at rank 8. Fang Yuan's time path clone was only at rank 6 and would not be able to use summer gu by just himself. However, Fang Yuan's main body had white lychee immortal essence which he gave to his clone along with summer gu. By lending his clone the necessary tools, Fang Yuan's time path clone could utilize almost all the immortal gu of his main body. Summer gu's activation was followed by other supplementary gu worms which activated an immortal killer move. Xianxia had developed a set of time path killer moves to manage the immortal aperture: spring plowing, summer hoeing, autumn harvest, and winter storage. The killer move which Fang Yuan's time path clone activated was not one of them but was modified from summer hoeing. It was used specially to raise extreme marsh flowers. Extreme marsh flowers bloomed at the height of summer and bore fruit in spring. Fang Yuan's time path attainment was at quasi-supreme grandmaster. It was at the peak of the world. Along with the light of wisdom, it was simple for him to modify time path killer moves. Following the continuous activation of the killer move, all the surroundings entered the height of summer. Light rays became brighter, the temperature increased rapidly and the air became increasingly dry. The peak of summer had arrived. The extremely vigorous extreme marsh flowers felt all these and began to absorb nutrition from the water and soil, growing at a visible rate and started to slowly bloom. Every extreme marsh flower was huge and looked like a trumpet with its petals connected. They were primarily white with a few parts bearing slight hints of pink. The knee-deep water was already emptying. The marshy soil had also become drier. The fertility of the soil was being expended intensely. Fang Yuan's time path clone looked calm. This was within his expectations. Cultivation methods of extreme marsh flowers were mentioned in detail in both Red Lotus True Inheritance and Shadow Sex True Inheritance. All these changes were within Fang Yuan's arrangements. Soon, strands of white mist started rising slowly from the pistil of the extreme marsh flowers. These mist gradually spread and covered a large area. Fang Yuan's time path clone stopped the killer move. The air immediately became very moist. The mist nurtured the soil, gradually transforming this man-made marshland. Let's name this marshland flower mist Extreme Marsh. The first step is finished. Fang Yuan's time path clone observed with joy. It won't be an issue to feed Regret Gu with this scale of extreme marsh flower mist. Rank 8 Regret Gu's appetite was huge. Its food was the mist produced by extreme marsh flowers. The problem was that this mist needed to be fresh. So it was not practical or reliable to purchase them from outside. When the mist condenses to a certain extent and forms a layer of water on the ground, I can then plant water vegetation as well as bring in small life forms like ducks and flying fish. Then, I will continue to expand the scale of extreme marsh flowers. When Regret Gu becomes hungry, the accumulated extreme marsh flower mist will be enough to fill it. The feeding of rank 8 immortal gu often required a huge project. With this area of extreme marsh flowers, the sovereign immortal aperture's development is now at 18%. Currently, I have greatly slowed down the rate of time of the immortal aperture, so the production of various resources and white lychee immortal essence has fallen. Fang Yuan pondered inwardly. This time, he did not use time path immortal moves to slow down his immortal aperture's rate of time, instead he manipulated the year essence pool, which was much more convenient. It did not expend immortal essence and also did not have some disadvantages of time path killer moves. Fang Yuan could adjust his immortal aperture's rate of time whenever he wanted. Although I need to accumulate immortal essence, I cannot blindly quicken the time, or else, the tribulations will come quickly as well. Currently, Fang Yuan was already at rank 8, but his battle strength had not increased by a lot. Previously, he had exposed almost all his trump cards when he faced Heavenly Court's ambush in River of Time, so it was not suitable for him to undergo tribulation at this time. Once he placed his immortal aperture to undergo tribulation, Fang Yuan would become a fixed target. Because he would have to open his immortal aperture, which would be sensed by Heaven's will, Heavenly Court and other forces could easily discover his location and besiege him. The rate of time has been slowed down, but I can still manage my immortal aperture, increasing the foundation of my immortal aperture and expanding my immortal aperture origin core, thus producing even more white lychee immortal essence. The better the immortal aperture's management, the more immortal essence would be produced. A long time ago, Fang Yuan managed his immortal aperture to feed his immortal Gu. Later, he managed the immortal aperture to increase the production and earn immortal essence stones as well as cultivation resources. Currently, his target was to accumulate white lychee immortal essence. Purely refining immortal essence stones to white lychee immortal essence had too low of an efficiency. 10,000 immortal essence stones were required to turn into 1 bead of white lychee immortal essence. Fang Yuan's immortal aperture could produce 100 white lychee immortal essence every year. In terms of the outside world's time, that was over half a month. Time passed as Fang Yuan continued to cultivate in seclusion. It was now summer in the 5 regions. Although there were no traces of Fang Yuan, the whole Gu immortal world of the 5 regions was in an excited state. Whether it be righteous path, demonic path, or lone immortals, they were all hectic. The reason for this situation were the tremors in 5 regions' earth veins. New earth trenches appeared constantly. They first appeared in southern border, but this situation was happening frequently throughout the other 4 regions as well. Rumble. Dust and soil rose. Hong Yi fell down on the ground in exhaustion. He was panting and his face was pale as he looked at the enormous ravine in front of him. When the earth veins shook, he and other Gu masters began to run wildly. This was an extremely thrilling escape. There were a few times when Hong Yi was able to keep his life only because of his good luck. He had almost fallen in, but during the crucial moment, he was able to exert more strength than usual and was able to jump towards the precipice. Since when did earthquakes occur here? That was dangerous. I almost lost my life here. Hong Yi stood up only after a long while, but his breathing was still rough. He looked at the ravine and saw only darkness. Rough wind blew in the ravine as dust and soil had yet to dissipate. Every area of central continent seems to be experiencing earthquakes during this time period, creating ravines like this. Even a mortal like Hong Yi felt such a violent change in the world. What is that? A wild immortal Gu slowly flew out of the dust and smoke. An injured wild immortal Gu flew with difficulty, swaying left and right before it was finally exhausted and fell beside Hong Yi's feet. Hong Yi was dumbfounded. Heavenly Court. Fairy Ziwei gave a cry as her whole body let out dazzling purple light. Following the light, the whole Heavenly Court actually shook slightly. An incomparably enormous formless force poured into the large immortal formation. The immortal formation rumbled loudly as it started grinding down on Spectral Soul, who was locked up at the center. Spectral Soul resisted with all his might but was unable to defend. His deepest memories were being extracted. Alright, I finally obtained the mysteries of the pure dream reality seeker physique, hahaha. Fairy Ziwei was haggard and pale, but her expression was of excitement. She had been working extremely hard these last days. On one hand, she was dealing with earth vein tremors which were bringing forth unexpected situations all over central continent. On the other hand, she was strengthening her efforts on dealing with Spectral Soul. She had put in great efforts to obtain Shadow Sect's Dream Path research results as soon as possible, activating the whole of Heavenly Court's might in empowering the immortal formation. Hard work paid off. Fairy Ziwei finally obtained a breakthrough. In the blink of an eye, it was the height of summer. Sunlight was scorching, but it was not as fiery as the fire in Gu immortals' hearts. Earth vein tremors showed no signs of stopping or reducing, instead they became more intense. Immortal materials, wild immortal Gu, and all kinds of cultivation resources appeared constantly, creating a festive period in all 5 regions. Within the 5 Xiang's grotto heaven, Fang Yuan's laughter suddenly echoed. I have finally obtained full grasp of the killer move heaven form. Beside Fang Yuan was the rank 9 killer move in the form of a white crane. It was standing obediently and quietly, following Fang Yuan's orders. Who could have thought that heaven form's effect is actually this? With it, my cultivation might be able to progress rapidly. The issue of calamities and tribulations can also be resolved. Fang Yuan stroked the white crane's feathers with bright eyes. This heaven form killer move came at the perfect time. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1682, Searching for Grotto Heavens. Chapter 1682, Searching for Grotto Heavens. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Immemorial White Heaven. An exquisite, pure white crane was flying around Fang Yuan while letting out melodious cry. Fang Yuan could command this white crane with his thoughts, and it was as easy and simple as moving his hand. I can finally use this rank 9 killer move. Fang Yuan was endlessly moved as he said softly, "Go." White crane flapped its large wings and nimbly flew ahead, but before it reached far, it started circling around a part of the sky while emitting cries constantly. Fang Yuan's lips curled up as he received a series of information from the white crane that showed the inner scenes of the grotto heaven of the 5 Xiangs. Rank 9 killer move heaven form was not an offensive or a defensive killer move, but an investigative type. Its detection target was everything that existed in immemorial white heaven. Its detection range was extremely wide, far surpassing Fang Yuan's limits, thus it would be extremely helpful to Fang Yuan in plundering all kinds of natural resources in immemorial white heaven. Its detection ability was also extremely strong. How strong? It could discover hidden grotto heavens. Any grotto heaven, as long as they were in immemorial white heaven, would be detected by heaven form even if they did not open their immortal aperture entrance. Once the white crane was nearby, it could gather information about the inner scenes of the immortal aperture. Naturally, its detection range towards grotto heavens was far smaller than ordinary targets. It had another advantage: it did not use any immortal essence during the whole detection process. The rank 9 immortal move heaven form originated from thieving heaven demon venerable. It was truly extraordinary. It was like the detection was the innate ability of the white crane. But if I want to forcibly intrude into a grotto heaven, I need to use immortal essence. Fang Yuan's lips curled up as he slowly transferred rank 8 white lychee immortal essence. With the addition of immortal essence, heaven form's whole white crane body began to emit soft and gentle light. Fang Yuan slowly flew closer, letting the soft light cover him. At the same time, a hazy white light appeared inside 5 Xiang's grotto heaven. Fang Yuan followed the white light, and several breaths later, he was inside 5 Xiang's grotto heaven. The whole process faced no obstruction. Although 5 Xiang's grotto heaven was already controlled by Fang Yuan, at this moment, he had successfully entered the grotto heaven just by relying on heaven form. Quite a high immortal essence expenditure, but thinking about it, I am a rank 8 Gu immortal while the killer move is at rank 9 level. Spending this much white lychee immortal essence cannot be considered a flaw. Although there is some white light, the entire process is quiet. Not bad, not bad. Fang Yuan nodded, satisfied with the result of this trial performance. It was extremely difficult to charge into a blessed land or grotto heaven without proper preparations. For example, one could refer to the time Immortal Crane's sect invaded Hu Immortal Blessed Land, or when Heavenly Lord Bai Zhu attacked He Fan Grotto Heaven. Their difficulty sufficiently proved the value of heaven form. In the long span of history, how many Gu Immortals have appeared? Although it is not easy to become a rank 8, throughout the millions of years, they are absolutely not few in number. When Renzu's children destroyed the other immemorial 7 heavens, only immemorial White Heaven and immemorial Black Heaven remained. After that incident, rank 8 Gu Immortals or rank 9 Gu Immortals basically only had these 2 choices to place their grotto heavens. Not mentioning rank 9 Gu Venerables, when those rank 8 Gu Immortals die, their immortal apertures would often be placed in either immemorial White or Black Heaven. These grotto heavens would fall down or perish because of the continuous calamities and tribulations, but at the same time, new rank 8 figures would appear. So, there must be a portion of these grotto heavens currently in immemorial Black and White Heaven. These grotto heavens were great supplements to Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. If he annexed one of them, he could skip calamities and tribulations and thus resolve his greatest hidden threat. Naturally, the precondition was he had to find an immortal aperture grotto heaven and have the ability to annex them. At the same time, this grotto heaven must not have devoured any fragment of the immemorial 9 heavens. An immortal aperture grotto heaven that had annexed any 9 heavens fragment would have no more calamities and tribulations, but it would then be filled with heavens which could not be cleansed. Fang Yuan could not annex such grotto heavens, so 5 Xiang's grotto heaven and He Fan grotto heaven were not in his consideration. Although Qi Clan's Qi Si grotto heaven did not annex a 9 heavens fragment and had been relying on the immortal killer move Unlimited Qi Si to resist calamities and tribulations, Fang Yuan's Qi path attainment level became the obstruction to annexing it, and it would not be easy to solve this anytime soon. As for the Dragon Whale grotto heaven, Fang Yuan had considered it, but he was unable to return to the Blue Dragon Whale with fixed immortal travel as it had already moved far away from its previous location. And with Paradise Earth Immortal Venerables arrangements in the Dragon Whale Grotto Heaven, even if Fang Yuan had the ability to annex it, he did not dare to make such a move rashly. Comment. Who was to say Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable had not arranged some hidden methods in the Dragon Whale Grotto Heaven that were specially waiting for Fang Yuan? None of the Gu Venerables could be underestimated. There are definitely grotto heavens which suit me. Fang Yuan was confident in this. This confidence was not only because he had heaven form, it was also because in the 500 years of his previous life's memories, there had been many grotto heavens which had appeared during the 5 regions' chaotic war and been a part of the vast changes of the new era. Among them, Fang Yuan had the deepest impression of 9 Phantoms Grotto Heaven. Almost all the Gu Immortals of this grotto heaven mainly cultivated Phantom Path. The entire grotto heaven could turn into phantom form and thus be unaffected by calamities and tribulations. There was also Dao Formation Grotto Heaven. This grotto heaven's Gu Immortals were extremely proficient in formation path with layers of large formations tightly protecting the whole grotto heaven. There was also Holy Deceit Grotto Heaven. This grotto heaven's origin was even greater. Its original owner had a close relationship with Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable. After he passed away, Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable personally made arrangements in Holy Deceit Grotto Heaven that caused Heaven's will to make wrong judgments about this grotto heaven. The might of many calamities and tribulations were reduced greatly and were passed extremely easily. These grotto heavens were living in seclusion while cultivating Gu Immortals. Every grotto heaven contained many Gu Immortals. They were all genuine super forces. However, there were very few rank 8 Gu Immortals. It was difficult to nurture a rank 8 Gu Immortal with just the resources from a grotto heaven. As such, powerful super forces were all based in the 5 regions which possessed rich and enormous amounts of resources. At the same time, the large population and intense competition between each other hastened the arrival of rank 8 Gu Immortals. Summer went and autumn came. The turbulence of earth veins was becoming more frequent and numerous. Gu Immortals welcomed this harvesting season. Western Desert. A delicate and beautiful female immortal lightly shot an arrow. The arrow pierced the sky while leaving behind a trailing arc of light pink and struck an ancient desolate beast. This ancient desolate beast had been moving rampantly the previous moment, but at the next moment, its whole body let out all kinds of lights as it collapsed to the ground loudly. Strong wind mixed with yellow sand blew, the entire ancient desolate beast turned into petals and dissipated completely. It is actually her. Gong Clan's second young Miss Gong Wuhua. Let's leave quickly. A group of Western Desert Gu immortals reluctantly looked at the newly created earth trench before retreating cleanly. Southern border. Rumble. Mountain ranges collapsed, causing dust to surge over hundreds of li. The earth quaked as a huge earth trench appeared, devouring the mountain ranges tyrannically. Ba Clan's 2 Gu immortals were looking at this with shock. This is a famous mountain, Sunny Mountain. It was actually destroyed by the earth trench, such a pity. Bada's gaze shone with cold light, hee, what's there to pity? The old mountain has collapsed, there will be a new one in the future. Didn't we discover a large amount of new spirit springs in our way? That's true, earth vein turbulences are not only bringing wild Gu and Gu materials, they are also giving birth to many spirit springs. Do you think that is all? Bada looked down with no expression, but his face showed great expectation. Experts are popping out one after the other in the Gu immortal world. Didn't Western Desert see the rise of Gong Wuhua recently? Lord Bada, how could that Gong Wuhua compare to you? Humph, how can you underestimate the heroes of the world? But wait until I advance to rank 8, Gong Wuhua won't be any threat indeed. Bada said proudly. The other Ba Clan Gu immortal was shocked and joyous. Lord, you are finally advancing to rank 8. I was on guard against various influences before, but now the Southern Alliance is established while the Alliance leader's position is still up in the air. Most crucially, there are countless cultivation resources appearing unceasingly which are enough for me to advance to rank 8. Naturally, there is one main reason. Bada's expression turned solemn. An unprecedented great era is descending and I don't wish to be swallowed by the tides of this era. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1683, Venerable Talent. Chapter 1683, Venerable Talent. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Chirp chirp chirp. A large group of blinking birds, that were surrounding a 7-colored cloud, were flying around while chirping constantly to warn the invader. Fong Yuan's expression was tranquil but his gaze carried the trace of a smile. The blinking bird's warning was naturally nothing to him. This species of bird was a desolate beast, but they had low battle strength, they could not cause harm even with such a large scale. Their true power was in speed. Blinking birds were considered the fastest desolate beast. Once their speed erupted, they could escape the sight of a Gu immortal in the blink of an eye, thus having their name. Fong Yuan had concealed his aura and seemed like a mortal. But these blinking birds simply did not attack him, they innately sensed a pressure from the seemingly harmless Fong Yuan. Suddenly, a trace of aura leaked out from Fong Yuan's body. Swoosh! At the next moment, the blinking birds burst forth, disappearing within an instant. The 7-colored cloud that was densely surrounded by the birds was now floating alone. Fong Yuan sighed. He had intended to capture these blinking birds, but these blinking birds had an extremely fast response time and Fong Yuan was also not highly proficient in concealing his aura. However, it did not matter if they escaped, even if he subdued the blinking birds, they would not be easy to raise. Their food was the white heaven floating dust that was specific to immemorial white heaven. It was not easy to gather and a Gu immortal's immortal aperture could not produce them. Fong Yuan slowly flew closer to the 7-colored cloud. I didn't expect to run into a 7-colored cloud soil. Fong Yuan sighed. This thing looked like a cloud but was actually a kind of soil, cloud soil. In Xianxia Blessed Land, Xianxia Land Spirit had condensed a large amount of cloud soil to form Cloud Cover Continent, which always remained afloat in the sky of Xianxia Blessed Land. Cloud soil's greatest production area was in the immemorial 9 heavens. Naturally, there were also a small number of resource points producing cloud soil in the 5 regions. A single-colored cloud soil was at most an ordinary Gu material, for example, immemorial yellow heavens yellow cloud soil or immemorial red heavens red cloud soil. In the present era, the most common single-colored cloud soil in the market was white cloud soil, which mostly originated from immemorial white heaven. Immemorial black heaven also had a lot of black cloud soil, but it was very risky as there were many soul beasts in black heaven. Once the cloud soil had 6 colors, it would be a rank 6 level immortal material. The 7-colored cloud soil in front of Fang Yuan was a rank 7 immortal material, and the value of such a large quantity was very high. After inspecting this large patch of 7-colored cloud soil, Fang Yuan discovered there were many bird nests in this soil and they contained many eggs. These were the blinking birds' eggs. Fang Yuan was not surprised as the behavior of the blinking birds showed that they seemed to be protecting something. In fact, blinking birds were extremely cowardly even though they were desolate beasts. If there was even a slight disturbance, they would immediately fly away with their fastest speed. Fang Yuan could incubate these eggs for blinking birds. Incubating desolate beasts was not easy but it would not be much of an issue to Fang Yuan. However, Fang Yuan did not want to hatch them, instead he wanted to use these eggs as immortal materials to use when refining Gu. Blinking birds had quite a strict diet and it was not easy to raise them. If he were to raise them, he would have to release them to immemorial white heaven from time to time, and this was too troublesome. Fang Yuan had deep pockets and did not care about profits from blinking birds. Ever since he refined the killer move heaven form over a month ago, Fang Yuan had been moving about in immemorial white heaven. On one hand, he was searching for immortal materials in immemorial white heaven, on the other hand, he was refining Gu in his sovereign immortal aperture. A month in the outside world was a long time in the sovereign immortal aperture. Fang Yuan had obtained great success in refining Gu. Man as before, landscape as before, self-strength, pulling mountain, pulling water, dog shit luck, time luck, and others were already advanced to rank 7. He had changed his original Gu refinement plan slightly, advancing luck path immortal Gu with priority. Over these days, he had similarly gained great harvests in immemorial white heaven, obtaining many immortal materials. This was due to the effect of these rank 7 luck path immortal Gu. Besides advancing ranks through refinement, Fang Yuan was also improving Gu refinement techniques. He knew way too many Gu recipes and also knew countless Gu refinement techniques. His refinement path attainment level was at quasi-supreme grandmaster, but he was lacking in experience. Especially in the aspect of refining immortal Gu, he did not have a lot of experience at all. Genuine knowledge came from practice. Over this period of time, he had repeatedly advanced the ranks of his immortal Gu from which he discovered many of his problems and remedied all of them. At the same time, he also discovered many more Gu refinement techniques that suited him. At present, Fang Yuan had gained a lot of new insight and inspiration on Gu refinement. The success rate of his refinement had also increased by a large degree. There were still continuous earth vein turbulences in 5 regions. Gu immortals obtained immortal materials and immortal Gu. It was a time of great joy. But after thinking deeply, Fang Yuan still chose to explore immemorial white heaven. If he went to snatch resources of the earth trenches from the 5 regions Gu immortals, he would have to show himself and might very likely end up fighting. Each immortal Gu's advancement increased Fang Yuan's strength by a little. But the degree of this increase was unable to offset the situation from exposing his trump cards in the river of time. He needed time to quietly absorb these gains. Once an intense battle began, his accumulated rank 8 white lychee immortal essence would be expended intensely. Fighting with Gu immortals was much more dangerous than fighting fierce beasts. Although Fang Yuan spent immortal essence when exploring immemorial white heaven and there were many battles as well, he was relying on heaven form, which had a precise detection ability. If there were beasts that were too troublesome or powerful, he would take a detour. Heaven form's detection range in immemorial white heaven was truly very large and could even easily discover many concealed beasts and plants. After all, it could even detect hidden grotto heavens. It was natural for it to discover these fierce beasts and plants. The more amazing part was that heaven form did not use even a trace of Fang Yuan's immortal essence. This rank 9 killer move had unquestionable superiority and power. Fong Yuan had already exclaimed praise for it multiple times. Exploring the 5 regions surpassed exploring immemorial White Heaven in terms of danger and expenditure, and it was not as good as the latter in terms of benefits. Gu materials and immortal materials emerged endlessly from earth trenches, but these things needed Gu immortals to arrange them properly before storing them into the immortal aperture. Managing an immortal aperture was not easy, many resources were interrelated or affected each other. As a result, most of the Gu immortals in the 5 regions would sell these immortal materials obtained from earth trenches in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Their immortal apertures had limited space and could not be compared to Fong Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. Many times, the immortal materials they obtained did not suit their immortal aperture's environment. There was another phenomenon because of the unceasing earth vein turbulences, that was Treasure Yellow Heaven's business. More accurately, the transactions between Gu immortals had increased explosively. Treasure Yellow Heaven was dozens of times as bustling than before. If Fong Yuan wanted any immortal materials, he could totally buy them from Treasure Yellow Heaven. But Grotto Heavens were different. Every Grotto Heaven already had a complete and harmonious ecosystem. When Fong Yuan annexed them, it would save him a lot of trouble and there was no need to consider anything. He could even increase the sovereign immortal aperture size, his cultivation and Dao marks would also increase by a large degree, and calamities and tribulations could even be skipped. The benefits of annexing a Grotto Heaven were too great. As for the wild immortal Gu that occasionally emerged from earth trenches, Fong Yuan was envious of course, but these wild immortal Gu had always been top priority for Gu immortals. Fong Yuan felt it was better for him to directly rob others' immortal Gu from the Grotto Heavens since he had great thief ghost hand. Heavenly Court. The large formation slowly stopped. Fairy Ziwei opened her eyes which shined with sharp light. She mumbled, "Soul replacement killer move. Such ingenuity." Before leaving, she gave another glance at Spectral Soul but did not try to make him surrender. Over these days, Fairy Ziwei had been frequently plundering Spectral Soul's memories, seizing his lifetime's cultivation gains. Fairy Ziwei could not help but admire Spectral Soul's shocking talent and also acknowledged that in the field of Soul Path, even if Heavenly Court had already put in enormous efforts, they still could not match Spectral Soul. Such a pity that Spectral Soul is currently reduced to a prisoner. It really is a tragedy. He is the most destitute among all the venerables. Actually, if he had remained dead, his name would have been left gloriously in history. Now, he cannot even seek death. Thinking of Spectral Soul who was still stubbornly resisting, Fairy Ziwei once again gritted her teeth hatefully. She was sure Spectral Soul still had important Dream Path research results, that was lead soul into Dream. Although Heavenly Court had already deciphered most of this move, it would still be extremely valuable if Heavenly Court obtained it. Unfortunately, Spectral Soul kept on resisting. Although he could not shoulder the entire Heavenly Court Grotto Heaven strength, he was extremely crafty. He would leak some minor information and stall for time. The first time Fairy Ziwei used Heavenly Court strength, Spectral Soul was caught off guard and the pure Dream Reality Seeker Physique's information was stolen. But when he recovered, Spectral Soul adopted the strategy of abandoning less important information to protect the true secrets. He was still resisting firmly. But your actions are in vain. We have the advantage of time. The Refinement Path Convention's preparations are already undergoing. Fate Immortal Gu will be completely restored. At that time, Spectral Soul will fall into Fate's tracks and have no way to escape. The future of the Great Era belongs to our Heavenly Court. Fairy Ziwei thought of Feng Jin Huang. After obtaining the pure Dream Reality Seeker Physique's information, Duke Long gave these research results to Feng Jin Huang, which could be considered as his first genuine knowledge imparting. Although these research results were someone else's work. Because they needed to use Feng Jin Huang's Immortal Gu, they needed to deduce suitable immortal killer moves for her so that they could resolve the dream realm surrounding Dragon Palace. Fairy Ziwei spared no effort in deducing the killer moves, even deducing together with Feng Jin Huang. At the beginning, her and Duke Long's goal had only been to help Feng Jin Huang grow slightly faster. But who could have thought that after the deduction succeeded, Feng Jin Huang even found a method to improve the pure Dream Reality Seeker physique. Creating a brand new pure Dream Reality Seeker physique body with none of its previous flaws. It could last indefinitely. The talent of a venerable is truly too terrifying. In front of them, even I feel like I am just an ordinary person. Fairy Z-Wei sighed mentally. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1684, Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. Chapter 1684, Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Immemorial White Heaven. Fang Yuan was moving forward on an auspicious cloud. Half of his concentration was in the sovereign immortal aperture and the other half was on guard. If it were before, Fang Yuan could not have split his concentration when refining Gu. But his gains were truly huge during this recent period of time. He lacked neither attainment levels nor Gu recipes, his only shortcoming had been insufficient hands-on practice. Personally refining Gu helped him grow rapidly in this aspect, his success rate in refinement increased greatly and so the amount of immortal materials wasted had also decreased by a lot. Refining immortal Gu had always been a sinkhole. Besides Gu refinement, Fang Yuan was also plundering all kinds of natural resources from immemorial White Heaven. He sold a portion in Treasure Yellow Heaven and bought items he needed for refining Gu and managing his immortal aperture. Treasure Yellow Heaven's business was especially bustling. The turbulence in earth veins created a pressing demand for exchange of goods in the 5 regions Gu immortal world. Immortal material transactions in the market were very popular now. Naturally, the most popular business was still Time Path immortal materials. Heavenly Court did not stint on suppressing Fang Yuan. They would purchase all Time Path immortal materials even with a high price, showcasing an inexhaustible strength, displaying the robust and terrifying foundation of Heavenly Court. If Heavenly Court found out that Fang Yuan had already obtained one of Red Lotus' true inheritances and possessed large amounts of Time Path immortal materials, who knew how they would feel? There are still 2 rank 6 immortal Gu left, the others have all been advanced to rank 7. Fang Yuan's body suddenly shook. The auspicious cloud suddenly increased in speed. After a while, Fang Yuan saw heaven form. The crane form killer move was continuously circling around an ordinary-looking spot that seemed to just be made of air. It discovered a grotto heaven. Fang Yuan was joyous. Using the detection of heaven form, this grotto heaven's inner scenery was constantly transmitted to Fang Yuan's mind. So this grotto heaven is called Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. It is actually a rank 8 information path Gu Immortal's immortal aperture. Oh. There is such a large population and they even have a unique cultivation style. Fang Yuan could not help but feel curious. Profound Literature Grotto Heaven's population was even larger than Langya Blessed Land's hairy men. Using an initial estimation, there was also a good number of Gu Immortals. This grotto heaven mainly had information path Dao marks, thus its environment naturally was suited to produce information path resources. Therefore, the Gu Masters and Gu Immortals here mainly cultivated information path and used information path Gu worms. Profound Literature Grotto Heaven had already been isolated from the outside world for many years, but because it had annexed an immemorial 9 heavens fragment, its heavenly spirit was muddle-headed. However, the immortal killer move of the original owner of Grotto Heaven was still effective. This move was called, Assisting Literary Talents. It seemed to be effective for as long as the Grotto Heaven existed and its effect was extremely unique. As long as a purebred human created or recited outstanding poems or writings of any kind, they would obtain recognition and reward from this Grotto Heaven. Mortals could sing good poems to attract Hope Gu from far away and awaken their aperture. Gu Masters could create amazing poetry verses to obtain Gu worms or even raise their cultivation directly. It is somewhat of a pity that I cannot annex this Grotto Heaven. I have quite a lot of poetic masterpieces stored in my mind. Fang Yuan laughed heartily as he transferred his immortal essence into heaven form. Heaven form slowly started to emit light which moved into Profound Literature Grotto Heaven. Fang Yuan flew into the white light to enter the Grotto Heaven. Such guts! Which vile fiend dares to invade my homeland? A vast and mighty voice resounded from within, speaking with righteousness. Next, an old man in a white robe and resembling a scholar, possessing rank 8 aura, showed up in front of Fang Yuan. Fong Yuan was still inside the white light and could not make a move. The old man pushed his hand without any hesitation, countless literary characters manifested immediately and shot forward like a storm. Heaven form did not have any offensive ability, the torrent of characters poured in and the white light crumbled. Fong Yuan's situation became awkward, he could not advance, he could only take the initiative to retreat. There is actually a rank 8 Gu immortal here. Fong Yuan was slightly surprised. According to normal situations, a rank 8 Gu immortal would rarely be born inside a grotto heaven because the grotto heaven's resources were not enough to support the emergence of a rank 8 Gu immortal. Moreover, this profound literature grotto heaven's heavenly spirit was in a muddle-headed state and could not open the immortal aperture's entrance, so Gu immortals could not easily come out. Even if this rank 8 Gu immortal had some skills and could secretly come out to immemorial white heaven and plunder immortal materials, the risks were too high. There were many immemorial desolate beasts and immemorial desolate plants in immemorial white heaven along with all kinds of strange and dangerous areas which could pose threats to even rank 8 Gu immortals. This was not a backyard for rank 8 Gu immortals, they not only needed luck to gather resources here, they also had to take risks. Let's try another area. Fong Yuan reorganized himself and poured an immortal essence into heaven form for the second time. Heaven form was a rank 9 killer move, it could connect to any grotto heaven. He connected from the sky the first time, now he chose to enter from underground. However, when he stepped into white light again and tried to sneak into profound literature grotto heaven, that rank 8 Gu immortal appeared timely before him again. You still dare to try again? With me here, you will never succeed. The rank 8 Gu immortal immediately attacked. Fong Yuan was still inside the white light and felt helpless as he was unable to activate any other methods. With no way left, he could only let the white light be destroyed by the enemy while he retreated to the outside world once again. Fong Yuan's expression was unavoidably dark. He pondered, the two areas I chose should be vastly apart from each other, but I was actually detected and obstructed immediately. What defensive method is this? It was not strange that he was detected. After all, profound literature grotto heaven was an information path grotto heaven and information path was most specialized in detection, gathering intel and spreading news. However, the rank 8 Gu immortal enemy was able to appear before Fong Yuan promptly. What method was this? Fong Yuan tried a few more times using not only heaven form killer move but also fixed immortal travel killer move as well, but was still found out and blocked. Fong Yuan required a very short time to pass through the white light, but this short period of time seemed endlessly long under the obstruction of the rank 8 Gu immortal. At this moment, Fong Yuan experienced what Heavenly Lord Bai Zhu felt when attacking He Fan Grotto Heaven. His strength was clearly higher than the opponent, but with the enemy blocking the entrance of the Grotto Heaven, he was not able to enter the Grotto Heaven and this felt really unpleasant. Profound literature Grotto Heaven, I will be back. Fong Yuan chose to leave. Anyway, he already knew the position of profound literature grotto heaven. It had annexed a 9 heavens fragment and could not be moved anymore. While Fong Yuan left with nothing, Duke Long brought Feng Jin Huang to the bottom of the sea somewhere in Eastern Sea. Flood dragons roared, raising undercurrents and raging waves, but were helpless against Duke Long. Everything was tranquil around Duke Long as Feng Jin Huang stood quietly beside him. Duke Long brought Feng Jin Huang further down. Suddenly, there was a layer of ripple in front of Feng Jin Huang, as if they had broken a layer of formless membrane. Her pupils shrunk slightly as she discovered a large palace at the bottom of the sea. Rank 8 Immortal Gu House, Dragon Palace. The whole palace shone with slight orange gold light and was richly decorated, the pavilions and terraces were all grand and beautiful. However, Dragon Palace was surrounded by a large dream realm. The dream realm was constantly moving and its movement was quite fast. Dragon Palace was obscured from time to time by the dream realm, enticing the visitors. The dream realm kept on changing and moving, although some gaps appeared occasionally which seemed to let others enter Dragon Palace. Duke Long was extremely cautious and would rather wait than take unnecessary risks. Right now, he already had a method to deal with this dream realm. Immortal Killer Move, Pure Dream Reality Seeker Transformation. He had borrowed Feng Jin Huang's Dream Wings Immortal Gu while the deduction of the Immortal Killer Move was led by Fairy Ziwei. Under the effect of the killer move, a small piece of the dream realm quickly transformed into a human body with closed eyes. This is a pure dream reality seeker physique body, moreover it is perfect with no flaws. Duke Long's eyes shone as he carefully sized it up. He had once been harmed by a pure dream reality seeker physique body, thus he was slightly moved. Huang Air, your modification is truly brilliant. From now onwards, this pure dream reality seeker physique can be considered the 11th extreme physique. Duke Long praised. Feng Jin Huang blinked her eyes. Master, to be honest, I was only able to do so by coincidence. Because I created the killer move Shattered Dream previously, this modification was done based on its results. I had only thought of giving it a try, but who could have thought it would truly succeed? Duke Long smiled. No need to be insecure, my good disciple. Do you think your creation of Shattered Dream was a coincidence? This is part of fate's arrangement. It is fate that. Feng Jin Huang immediately pouted. Master, can you stop saying things like that? I don't want to hear such words. If everything is fate's arrangement, then what's the point of me doing anything? Duke Long was stunned and wanted to say something but only gave a long sigh. All right, let's not talk about this now. Now is still too early for you. When the time comes, I believe you will comprehend it. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1685, Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. Chapter 1685, Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Central Continent, Earth Trench. Roar. A giant desolate beast monkey let out its final roar. It wanted to stand up, but facing the tiny human Gu immortal before it, it felt its whole body freezing. This coldness seemed to penetrate the soul itself, even freezing its heated blood. Immortal Killer Move, Blood Turns Cold. The attacker was none other than Fang Yuan's brother, Gu Fangzheng. Congratulations Fangzheng, you are already able to freely utilize Blood Turns Cold after these few days of use in combat. Zhao Lianyun slowly flew closer and said with a smile. Gu Fangzheng looked at the frozen giant monkey corpse, the red light in his eyes slowly dissipating. His expression was tranquil as he expressed his gratitude to Zhao Lianyun. I am flattered. It was all thanks to you protecting me from the side over these days, otherwise, how would I gain such good opportunities to practice my killer move? The turbulence in Central Continent's earth veins was quite frequent and all the super forces fell into an awkward situation where they did not have enough manpower. To suppress their own internal situation, Immortal Crane's sect had sent Fangzheng out. Naturally, Fangzheng's movement was constantly monitored by Heavenly Court, and as long as there were no mishaps, Heavenly Court was happy to see Fangzheng growing stronger. Fangzheng was saved by Feng Jiugu and returned to Central Continent, receiving the support of Heavenly Court. Not only did he obtain Blood Revenge Immortal Gu, he also obtained Cold Blood Immortal Gu during his immortal ascension. Fairy Ziwei had already made proper arrangements, giving Blood Turns Cold and other immortal killer moves to Fangzheng. Now, he was already proficient in the killer move Blood Turns Cold and could use it proficiently in battles. Eastern Sea, at a certain area in the depths of the sea. Duke Long and Feng Jin Huang had already been refining the Dream Realm for several days now. The Dream Realm surrounding Dragon Palace was much larger than they thought. Duke Long had used the killer move Pure Dream Reality Seeker transformation to refine dozens of Pure Dream Reality Seeker physique bodies, but new dream realms were still spreading out from Dragon Palace to fill the gaps. Pure Dream Reality Seeker transformation was only a rank 6 killer move and had limited might because its core Immortal Gu, Dream Wings, was only at rank 6. Actually, after condensing the first Pure Dream Reality Seeker physique body, Duke Long could borrow this special vessel to move in the Dream Realm freely and enter Dragon Palace. But Duke Long's objective this time was this rank 8 Immortal Gu house. Without eliminating this Dream Realm, he would not be able to safely take this immortal Gu house. While Duke Long was condensing pure dream reality seeker physique bodies, Feng Jin Huang was cultivating wholeheartedly. She was mainly researching the pure dream reality seeker physique body. Sometimes, she would move her soul into a pure dream reality seeker physique body, and sometimes, she would research in her main body. Shadow Sex pure dream reality seeker physique pursued stability so it could not live long. Dream realms are ever-changing, their special trait is uncertainty. So I walked the path of shattered dream and made it more unstable. The result was that under the deduction of Lady Z Wei, double negative turned into positive, obtaining the perfect pure dream reality seeker physique. Every time Feng Jin Huang thought back to this, she felt she had gotten lucky. Could it be this is the effect of fate? It wants to borrow my efforts to bring forth the perfect pure dream reality seeker physique. Feng Jin Huang quickly shook her head, getting rid of this thought. She recalled the words of her master, Duke Long. Huang Heir, although you have researched the perfect pure dream reality seeker physique, it is still not enough. You need to research this achievement thoroughly to use it in your cultivation. When you find out how to advance your physique to pure dream reality seeker physique, it will be the time for your immortal ascension. Gu Immortal. Feng Jin Huang's accumulation was already enough for immortal ascension, but she was always stopped by Duke Long. Now that Duke Long finally relented, Feng Jin Huang was very excited but also in a dilemma. How could she understand pure dream reality seeker physique thoroughly? Feng Jin Huang was pondering about this issue as Duke Long waited patiently. Am I pushing her too hard? After all, transforming her own physique into the pure dream reality seeker physique involves the profundities of human path. The legends of Renzu clearly stated the 10 extreme physiques were created by Renzu. These are all human path profundities. Perhaps I can impart my gains when I read the legends of Renzu back then to her. Duke Long was known as the ancestor of the Dragon Man. The birth of the new variant human race, Dragon Man, was brought about by Duke Long alone. And Duke Long's achievement was a result of his comprehension of the legends of Renzu. Although I took Feng Jin Huang as my disciple, I have not taught her anything. She probably cannot meet my requirements, but it is better if I teach her the profundities of Dragon Men. Of course, I still need to warn her that she must not create any Dragon Men. No, according to her nature, she might secretly create them. Huang Heir is different from Hong Ting, especially her personality and perception of fate. Sigh, people's hearts have changed since ancient times. This kind of dangerous thinking should be unrelated to Bai Qing. It is probably Feng Jiuji's influence. Duke Long had naturally investigated Feng Jiugu and Fairy Bai Qing. Achoo! Feng Jiugu rubbed his nose, his body was filled with bloody stains. He mumbled, "Who is talking behind my back?" He was in a very miserable state, his robe was mostly torn apart, revealing his robust and muscular chest. Cough, cough. He suddenly coughed up blood. Two Gu immortals who were hidden revealed themselves. They looked at Feng Jiuji's heavily injured appearance but had joyous expressions. Congratulations Lord Feng Jiugu on advancing to rank 8. Feng Jiugu nodded lightly, he felt no excitement towards his rank 8 cultivation. In fact, he could have advanced to rank 8 long ago but there had never been a suitable opportunity. There were always all kinds of shackles holding him back. After all, he had a family and was also the most important member of Spirit Affinity House. Rank 8 cultivation level is no big deal, although I now have White Lychee Immortal Essence, I will need time to accumulate it. I don't have enough funds to advance my core Immortal Gu to rank 8. Even if I have the funds, I will need others to help me refine Gu. Maybe I can rely on Heavenly Court for this. Feng Jiugu thought about his Dao Guardian status which had a lot of exploitable value. But the crucial thing is the inspiration I got from the legends of Renzu when undergoing the tribulation. Perhaps I can create a song about destiny from this. Heaven and earth has fate, everything is arranged by it. But after Luck Path was born, there was room for change. Everything and everyone in the world has the chance to shine brilliantly now. Destiny Song will portray this brilliance, it will describe the certainty and uncertainty of heaven and earth as well as the paths of all life. A period of time passed yet again. Immemorial white heaven. Fang Yuan gazed excitedly at the heaven-form crane which was flying around in circles. Found it, I have finally found a second grotto heaven. This is Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. Good, it has not annexed any 9 heavens fragment. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1686, Giant Monster Fang Yuan. Chapter 1686, Giant Monster Fang Yuan. 1. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. After searching for so many days, Fang Yuan found another grotto heaven and it had not annexed any 9 heavens fragment. But this is a transformation path grotto heaven, my transformation path attainment level is somewhat insufficient. Master, Grandmaster, Great Grandmaster, Supreme Grandmaster. Fang Yuan was a Grandmaster in transformation path, he was lacking attainment by an entire level. The lack of attainment level was not an issue because it could be resolved with dream realms. Southern Border had plenty of transformation path dream realms, which were enough for Fang Yuan to break through to Great Grandmaster attainment in transformation path, it was just that he would have to face some hurdles. Besides dream realms, Fang Yuan had another backup method for transformation path attainment level. It was to use Calamity Beckoning Immortal Gu, Immortal Tribulation Tempering Aperture, as well as Reckless Savage's true meaning in the Northern Icy Plain. The original owner of this grotto heaven was a transformation path rank 8 Gu immortal who had passed 1 myriad tribulation. Rank 8 Gu immortals had to pass 3 myriad tribulations, after that was rank 9. Myriad tribulations were terrifying and were also called apocalyptic myriad tribulation. To rank 8 Gu immortals, there was a huge danger of dying but also the chance to rapidly progress in their cultivation. 1 myriad tribulation and 2 myriad tribulations were classifications of a rank 8 Gu immortal's cultivation level. If Fang Yuan annexed this grotto heaven, his cultivation would immediately soar to 1 myriad tribulation level, such terrifying progress could definitely make Heavenly Court panic. Duke Long and Bo Qing were also only at 2 myriad tribulations level, passing the 3rd myriad tribulation would be rank 9. Duke Long, however, knew he was not cut out for that, so he merged his immortal aperture with Heavenly Court, changing to a phantom aperture. On the other hand, Bo Qing tried to advance but perished. Since this beast Calamity Grotto Heaven has not annexed a 9 heavens fragment, how did it pass the calamities and tribulations? It would not be easy for it to repeatedly pass calamities and tribulations just using its own strength. In the past, Langya Land's spirit was afraid of calamities and tribulations, so he lowered his grotto heaven to a blessed land. This was a very wise choice. Of course, the method to downgrade a grotto heaven to blessed land was extremely rare and was not something any grotto heaven could use. Heaven form flew in circles while transmitting information. Fang Yuan discovered a peculiar phenomenon. This grotto heaven's calamities and tribulations were of one kind, they were all beast calamities. Beast calamities were a type of tribulation, sometimes, they would be formed from desolate beasts, and sometimes from ancient desolate beasts. In this grotto heaven, heavenly tribulations were desolate beast calamities, grand tribulations were ancient desolate beast calamities, and myriad tribulations were immemorial desolate beast calamities. What method is this? It can actually restrict the type of calamities and tribulations. If everything is a beast calamity, it will be really easy to deal with them. After all, beasts have physical form and are not difficult to block, unlike rain, wind, and fog. As heaven forms continued to probe, Fang Yuan discovered deeper information. He sighed, so this grotto heaven is not restricting calamities and tribulations, but transforming any calamities and tribulations into a beast calamity. Truly an amazing method. There were many kinds of calamities and tribulations, but their formation would be influenced in this beast calamity grotto heaven, transforming into ferocious beasts in the end. Apart from calamity beckoning immortal Gu and immortal tribulation tempering aperture, Fang Yuan finally encountered another method that was targeted towards calamities and tribulations, that was beast calamity transformation. Every grotto heaven that can continuously exist is not simple. Profound literature grotto heaven is like this. Beast calamity grotto heaven is even more so. This is truly an unexpected surprise. This grotto heaven contains a huge population and countless resources, and more importantly, the method of beast calamity transformation. I need to get this method, it will be very useful in dealing with my tribulations. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan transferred his white lychee immortal essence to the heaven-formed crane. A while light slowly expanded as Fang Yuan flew in. He was not blocked by any rank 8 Gu immortal this time because there was no rank 8 existence in this beast calamity grotto heaven. However, when he was entering, the whole grotto heaven started shaking. A profound and vast strength came from every direction, not only influencing the white light but also exerting pressure on Fang Yuan. What is this? Fang Yuan was slightly bewildered at first before quickly reaching realization. There was a strange expression on his face. So it is like this. I am not from this grotto heaven and came from the outside world, because my strength is too powerful and the grotto heaven wants to reject me, it is treating me as a tribulation. This beast calamity grotto heaven could transform calamities and tribulations into all kinds of beasts. Currently, this force was influencing Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan pondered, it is possible to forcibly resist this strength, but I fear our fight might end up destroying this method. Although Heaven Form discovered several inheritance grounds which the original owner left, what if the beast calamity transformation method is not recorded there? Just in case, it was better to maintain beast calamity grotto heaven in its original state and not destroy any crucial arrangement. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan boldly retracted his defenses. He then felt endless temporary transformation path Dao marks being added to his body. At the same time, his other Dao marks also changed into transformation path Dao marks. Amazing, amazing. Transformation path can project every path, transformation path Dao marks can transform into any path's Dao marks. Right now, this transformation has been turned upside down, changing other paths Dao marks into transformation path Dao marks. Fang Yuan sighed and praised repeatedly. This method is beyond ordinary, it seems to involve the deepest profundity of transformation path. It feels like I only need to get in and out of here a few times and let this influence affect my body to comprehend the true essence of this method. Of course, the quickest method is to charge to those several inheritance grounds and seize the true inheritances there. I can check if there is the original record of beast calamity transformation. Fang Yuan's body was transforming and constantly expanding. He gradually turned unrecognizable as he transformed into a beast. If not for Heaven Form already inspecting clearly that this transformation had no side effects, Fang Yuan would not have dared to accept this kind of influence. Bellow. After a while, Fang Yuan turned into a large monster with a bull head and human body. He was as large as a mountain, his skin as tough as steel, bull hair filled his body, and his nose let out rough breathing noises as he took large steps forward. The whole beast calamity grotto heaven was shaken. Countless people looked at the sky and saw Fang Yuan. After a momentary daze, screams and shouts filled the sky. Monster! A monster has appeared again. This monster is so large, its aura is also completely different from the previous ones. Quickly call our beast warriors. Under countless people's anxious anticipation, a combat beast warrior appeared. This was a middle-aged man with rank 7 Gu immortal cultivation level, but his aura was somewhat strange. He looked plain and his expression was serious as he moved to the top of the city wall. There is only one record of such a huge monster appearing in history. I can feel an incomparably terrifying force with just one glance at it. He sighed inwardly while clenching his fists, the fire of battle intent rising in his eyes. But for my homeland, to defend love and justice, I will defeat this monster no matter what. Come, my combat beast. Transform. 1. The middle-aged man shouted loudly and his whole body started to emit light. Shortly, an eagle cry could be heard. A silver-white giant eagle flew over from the horizon. This was an ancient desolate beast. The silver-white giant eagle's body also started to emit light. The middle-aged man jumped while the silver-white giant eagle swooped down. The lights on both grew increasingly brighter, and when the two met in the air, the two lights merged together. Boom! The lights dissipated. With an eagle head, human body, and two wings on his back, a beast warrior as tall as the city wall showed up. The crowd immediately cried out in joy. "He's here, our eagle warrior has appeared. Go eagle warrior, kill this giant monster. We support you, you will definitely succeed." Amidst the crowd's cheers, Eagle Warrior flew to the sky and charged towards Fang Yuan. He cried out in his mind, "I won't let anyone down. Come, let us have a great fight." Bam! A crisp sound echoed. The silent Fang Yuan slammed down on Eagle Warrior with a single slap. Boom! Eagle Warrior's body drew an arc in the sky like a falling meteor before fiercely colliding on the ground, forming a huge crater with dust flying everywhere. The crowd went silent. An intense dizziness almost sent Eagle Warrior unconscious. He used all his strength to conquer it before barely subduing the dizziness. He then slowly climbed out of the deep crater. What happened? I was actually slammed to the ground by this monster. Eagle Warrior reacted only after a long while. Recalling that scene, his eyes revealed an intense fright. That speed just now. This is absurd. How can such a large body move have such nimbleness? This is impossible. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know in report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1687, Monster Rampages. Chapter 1687, Monster Rampages. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Normally, such an enormous monster should have a boorish nature with great strength. It is impossible for it to have such agility and speed. Eagle Warrior stood up from the deep crater. His head was filled with cold sweat. Suddenly, he thought of a possibility. Wait a second. Could that attack be this monster's combat technique? He looked at Fang Yuan, who had turned into a giant monster with bull head and human body, the enormous shadow shrouding Eagle Warrior. Eagle Warrior slowly regained his courage as he thought about this. You have a combat technique, I also have a combat technique. I already know your combat technique, but a stupid large animal like you cannot understand my combat technique. That's right, as long as I can grasp the opportunity, I definitely have the chance to win. Thinking of this, Eagle Warrior's eyes emitted hopeful light. He stood up, he stood up. That's right, how could Eagle Warrior be knocked out instantly? Go, Eagle Warrior, we believe in you. Seeing Eagle Warrior stand up, the dead silent city suddenly erupted into heaven-shaking cheers. An eagle cry resounded. Eagle Warrior flapped his wings and flew to the sky again. You have a combat technique, I also have a combat technique. Monster, let me show you my combat technique, Silver Illusion. Eagle Warrior shouted. At the next moment, his body suddenly turned illusory, splitting into 6 illusory images. They were all lifelike and had no difference from the real body. In an instant, the real and fake Eagle Warriors surrounded Fang Yuan and flew above him in a circle. The commotion in the city immediately surged to a whole new level. Look, it is Eagle Warrior's Silver Illusion combat technique. He finally used it, look. That monster looks dazed, it does not know which one to attack. The chance of victory is here, go, kill that giant monster. Ah! Eagle Warrior is truly too cool. Eagle Warrior heard the cheers of the crowd which amplified his courage and battle intent in his heart. But he was cool-headed inwardly. I must use this chance to make a definite strike. Even if I cannot kill this monster, I need to be able to heavily injure it. After all, combat techniques consume a huge amount of stamina and cannot be used repeatedly. That's why, even if this monster is powerful, it cannot repeatedly use its combat techniques. I will first use illusions to make it attack and waste its stamina. After it depletes its own strength, when it has no stamina left, I might be able to capture it alive. Eagle Warrior actually wanted to capture Feng Yuan alive, although Feng Yuan could not sense this thought, he clearly saw through Eagle Warrior's combat technique. Eagle Warriors constantly buzzed around Feng Yuan, occasionally, one or two suddenly swept down and attacked Feng Yuan with their sharp claws and beak. Feng Yuan stood on the spot without evading. These Eagle Warriors were all illusions with no real threat in their attacks. In Feng Yuan's eyes, it was a dead giveaway. Feng Yuan was calm and composed, laughing inwardly. This grotto heaven is somewhat interesting. First of all, the interaction between mortals and Gu immortals was interesting. They were harmonious. Different from the 5 regions outside world where mortals were like ants and Gu immortals were high and above, in this grotto heaven, Gu immortals were the guardian spirits of mortals. More importantly, they were even keen to take on this guardian duty. From this point, Feng Yuan could see the trace of a paradise. But this was not strange. Every grotto heaven formed its own small world. If there was little contact with the outside world of the 5 regions, the grotto heaven would form a different social structure and create a style unique to itself. Secondly, the battle style and cultivation method of Gu masters and Gu immortals here was interesting too. For instance, the opponent before Feng Yuan had merged with an ancient desolate beast silver-white giant eagle to create a kind of human-beast fusion battle form. This was clearly a transformation path method and its advantage was extremely obvious. Normally, Gu immortals would need to expend immortal essence to activate immortal Gu or immortal killer moves. But the Gu immortals here only needed to merge with a desolate beast and could possess combat techniques. The so-called combat technique was just the innate abilities of some desolate beasts or ancient desolate beasts. It was like Feng Yuan's upper extreme heavenly eagle which could enter and exit immortal apertures. This innate ability was known as combat technique by the people here. It did not expend immortal essence but had a huge demand on stamina, even having some other cost like sacrificing a part of the body or some lifespan. Be they combat techniques, immortal Gu or immortal killer moves, if we trace their origin, they were all just in essence, Dao. Because desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts have dense Dao mark accumulation on their bodies, and the fact that certain areas in their bodies have a higher concentration of Dao marks, they would possess innate abilities or combat techniques. Immortal Gu were fragments of the great Dao, they represented certain laws of heaven and earth. There was no need to talk about immortal killer moves, they were usually a combination of several immortal Gu and a large amount of mortal Gu. They were an organized combination of Dao marks and great Dao fragments which went through specific profound procedures to achieve a greater overall effect and power. In fact, the most primitive immortal killer moves had been created by Gu immortals who used the Dao mark distribution of desolate beasts as reference. They imitated and experimented with these distributions and created immortal killer moves eventually. The Gu immortals here can merge with desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts to use the beast's innate ability. They don't need to spend painstaking effort to refine any immortal Gu and can also save on the danger and cost of training in creating immortal killer moves. This advantage was truly prominent. Immortal Gu were hard to find and every immortal Gu was unique. But there was a lot of desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts. Even immemorial desolate beasts like the upper extreme heavenly eagle could be found in groups. The desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts possessing innate talents would often look stupid because of their lack of intelligence. But after they merge with Gu immortals, the Gu immortals would possess their innate talents and they would also possess the Gu immortals' wisdom. This was a win-win situation for both parties, their advantages made up for each other's deficiency. But this method is not flexible enough. There is only a fixed method to use when fighting. Innate abilities are not varied enough and easily targeted and restricted, they are full of shortcomings. Feng Yuan also saw through the disadvantages. But overall, this method's advantages are still huge, far surpassing the disadvantages. If it is popularized, the 5 regions will definitely welcome it with open arms. Fortunately, this method was not leaked out in my previous life. Otherwise my memories would have been completely different. Because this method was simply the best way to mass-produce Gu immortal battle strength, although it could not affect high-level battle strength, it was enough to turn around some situations. The 5 regions had many rank 6 Gu immortals who did not have even one immortal Gu. And these people were the majority of the Gu immortal world in every region. When one region had this method while another did not and they had a fight, based on the mid to low level Gu immortal battles, the region with this method would have a high chance of winning. This fusion ability is not anything new but it has never prospered. The greatest obstacle is the conflict between Dao marks. But this grotto heaven has a method to turn other Dao marks into transformation path Dao marks. So Gu immortals can casually fuse with desolate beasts. This fusion method is the same as Beast Calamity's transformation method. After deducing this, Fang Yuan wanted possession of this transformation path method even more. I have proper things to do, these flies should stop bothering me. As he thought to himself, Fang Yuan activated a time path method. His current time path killer moves were no longer like before. Eagle Warrior was still probing when he shockingly discovered that time around him had slowed down by countless times. This time has become so slow. How is this possible? Eagle Warrior was thoroughly horrified. He was quite confident in his speed, but with time itself being influenced, he was unable to display his greatest advantage, speed. Let's end this. Fang Yuan extended his palms slowly, his 10 fingers opened up and grabbed the 2 eagle wings. Darn it, darn it. Move, move. Eagle Warrior roared inwardly, but despite using all his strength to fly, he only flew a meager distance. Swish. At the next instant, Fang Yuan exerted strength, tearing apart the 2 wings instantly. Ah! Eagle Warrior's expression was twisted in pain. Blood flowed out from the wounds on his back, gushing out wildly like a fountain. Eagle Warrior. No! Countless people cried out in shock, fear and horror took over their high spirits from earlier. Some even fainted on the spot while some covered their faces. Fang Yuan slowly put his hands on Eagle Warrior's head. Eagle Warrior's heart thumped madly as he felt an intense aura of death. So this was its combat technique? Slowing down time, truly a terrifying combat technique. But, even if I die here, it was of some value. At least, I managed to expose its secret. Thinking so, Eagle Warrior screamed loudly, "Monster! So what if you kill me? There are still many beast warriors coming to kill you, your death is all but." Bam! Fang Yuan exerted strength in between his hands, and like a watermelon smashing on the ground, Eagle Warrior's head burst, white-red brain matter and bones splattered everywhere. Fang Yuan relaxed his palms. Plop! The headless Eagle Warrior corpse fell on the ground, creating a dust cloud. Fang Yuan looked at the city. His body was gigantic, the tall city walls could only reach his knees. His expression was tranquil but his bull head horrified countless people. White cloud moved beside his shoulders, and what should have been a clear sky was blocked by his enormous figure, his shadow shrouding everyone's heart. There was a huge crowd in the city, but no one made a sound. It was deathly silent. Fang Yuan slowly moved towards the city. 1. At the next moment, like an explosion, countless people began to scream and cry as they started escaping in all directions like headless flies. From high up in Fang Yuan's vision, these mortals looked like a group of ants that were dispersing through the 4 city gates. Fang Yuan ignored them and continued to move towards the city. Bam! His calf knocked into the city wall, instantly causing it to collapse entirely. He walked on the city's main street, but even if it were to enlarge by 5 to 6 times, Fang Yuan's heel would still cover the whole street. Buildings crumbled like small paper boxes as Fang Yuan knocked into them. There were also some unlucky mortals who were directly stepped into meat paste. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1688, Obstruction. Chapter 1688, Obstruction. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Bellow. The monster Fang Yuan let out a roar, his giant body crossing a forest while destroying countless gigantic trees easily. Retreat, retreat. Dear Warrior was holding a long spear, he was coughing out blood as he went to face Fang Yuan, using his life to fight for time for Spirit Spring Forest's inhabitants. But in the end, Dear Warrior's neck was snapped by Fang Yuan, dying a miserable death. The image ended here, creating a buzzing commotion in the hall. Tens of energetic and vigorous warriors, men and women, old and young, were talking in low voices, their speech and expressions were filled with shock and anger. At this time, an emaciated old man coughed twice from a raised platform. The hall immediately fell silent, all the beast warriors looked at the old man with respectful gazes. The old man spoke, "You have seen the images, since the bull-headed demon god descended, it has destroyed Sacred Eagle City, Dark Valley, and Spirit Spring Forest." A red-haired boar shouted, "Lord Combat Beast King, what are we still waiting for? Almost all the combat beast warriors in the world are here and are waiting for your command to eradicate this bull-headed demon god." "Yes, Lord, give us the command. We can't wait anymore. We have already gotten information about bull-headed demon god, eagle warrior and deer warrior died miserably at his hands, we must avenge them." Many combat beast warriors spoke, the collective mood in the hall was stirred into agitation. The old man only extended his hand and pressed down, the hall fell silent once again. He continued, "Sigh, looks like you still don't truly realize the severity of this beast calamity. I know that everyone present here has outstanding battle achievements, but this monster is different from normal. More accurately, if we don't deal with this properly, it might lead to the end of the world." "What do you mean?" "This monster is strong indeed, but haven't there been giant monsters who have killed several combat beast warriors before? This monster is large and possesses 2 combat techniques, its time-slowing combat technique is especially troublesome. But it can also be countered." The old man shook his head, saying with a solemn expression, "This bull-headed demon god has bottomless strength, it could be said to be among the most terrifying beasts. You should know how the first-generation combat beast king died, right?" All the combat beast warriors were visibly moved at these words. "Lord Combat Beast King, you mean? No way, is this giant monster at that level?" The old man nodded slowly, "This Star Snail Hall we are currently in is the corpse of Star Sea Snail. The first-generation combat beast king was the strongest combat beast warrior in history, but to kill the Star Sea Snail, he had to sacrifice his life. And this bull-headed demon god is at the same level as the Star Sea Snail." The old man's reply sent the hall into complete pin-drop silence. "So." The old man looked at his surroundings and continued, "I assembled everyone to move together to kill this bull-headed demon god, but we actually don't have a high chance of winning. You must use all your strength for us to have a chance of victory. Please battle with the awareness that you are going to die." "Awareness of death." Someone mumbled. "He he he." Someone suddenly laughed. The mood suddenly became invigorated, the combat beast warriors had a similar fire burning in their eyes. Their battle intent soared. "I already had the awareness of sacrificing for my homeland long ago. Yes, so what if I have to sacrifice my life in order to save the lives of my family and friends? We can't let this bull-headed demon god continue to wreak havoc, so what if it is comparable to the Star Sea Snail? I believe my fist and I believe in everyone. Yes, I believe in my comrade's strength. The first-generation combat beast king fought alone, but we are different, we have each other." Some people shouted, some people raised their arms, the morale continued to rise. The old man showed a gratified smile, "Good, I am going to merge with the Star Sea Snail's shell and transport you all. We will besiege the bull-headed demon god and catch it off guard. Remember, the future of this world is weighing on your shoulders." "We understand." The Star Sea Snail's shell began to shake. Fang Yuan was walking on a wasteland. He still had the appearance of a monster with a bull head and human body, his size was as tall as a mountain, his shoulders at the height of the clouds and his steps created craters. Each step of his produced an earth-shaking sound. The first-generation combat beast king should be this grotto heaven's original owner. Feng Yuan was already certain. He had destroyed 3 locations and took away inheritances of Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven's original owner. These inheritances were intact, and although they had lasted for many years, they were not taken away by other combat beast warriors. The cultivation method of merging with beasts is convenient but unfortunately is not the proper Gu cultivation method. This kind of path only gets narrower the more one walks on it, so these people aren't even aware of Beast Calamity Immortal's true inheritance. Who is it? Feng Yuan suddenly stopped, his gaze became vigilant. At the next moment, starlight overflowed and combat beast warriors appeared one after the other, surrounding him tightly. Monster, go and die. For the peace of the world, I will have no regrets even if I have to sacrifice everything. Everyone, attack together. Believe in yourself, believe in your friends. Even if the monster is stronger, it is not our match. The battle started suddenly. At the same time, at a certain seabed in Eastern Sea. Master, it's done. There are no longer any more dream realms coming out. Feng Jin Huang looked at the rank 8 Immortal Gu House Dragon Palace with excitement. Duke Long nodded. Our painstaking effort over the past few days was not in vain, the greatest obstacle is gone. Dragon Palace is covered by a layer of dream realms, although the framework is not disturbed, the entire Immortal Gu House has already stopped working, it is the perfect chance for us to take it now. As Duke Long pondered, a past memory suddenly surfaced in his mind. The red longevity character written in the hall was very conspicuous. Duke Long sat at the main seat, surrounded by dragon men. Grandfather, I am here to offer birthday wishes. I wish you blessings as deep as Eastern Sea, and longevity as tall as southern border mountains. This is a desolate beast that I hunted personally for you, I hope grandfather likes it. A dragon man youngster half knelt on the ground as he held a plate in front of him, there was a tiny seahorse on the plate. This is the desolate beast happiness seahorse, it is very fast and hard to kill. 7th young master only has rank 6 cultivation level, it is very hard for him to kill it, but to think he actually captured it alive. I heard that in order to capture this happiness seahorse, 7th young master spent a month at the bottom of the sea without moving, his filial piety is truly touching. The surrounding people discussed, there were human Gu immortals as well but most were dragon men. Among these dragon men, there were Gu immortals as well as mortal Gu masters, they were all Duke Long's descendants. Duke Long was the ancestor of the dragon men, he created the dragon man variant human race. 7th young master, a rank 6 dragon man Gu immortal, was Duke Long's most beloved grandson. Good, good, grandpa accepts your gift. Duke Long smiled affectionately. Distinguished guests and grandchildren filled the hall, this filled Duke Long's chest with warmth. But now, Duke Long suddenly returned to reality. There was only the dark and cold seawater around him and that deathly silent dragon palace. The past was no more, the warmth that once filled his heart had already been buried in history. Who is it? Come out. Duke Long suddenly spoke, his expression calm as his sharp gaze scanned several areas. As expected of heavenly courts Duke Long, you have such keen perception. An old woman slowly revealed herself. She was hunchbacked, she had deep wrinkles on her face that resembled the pattern of a purple venomous snake, extending from her face to her arms and to her whole body. Duke Long, we are definitely going to obtain this immortal Gu house. Another Gu immortal appeared, he was dressed in a white robe, he looked young and was handsome. Your central continent wants to take what belongs to our eastern sea. Humph. The third Gu immortal snorted coldly, he was robust and his triangular eyes shone with cold light. The final Gu immortal slowly approached Duke Long from behind, he wore a black robe, his face could not be seen, he was silent like an eerie ghost, filled with dark energy. Granny Rong, Yang Zihe, Shi Miao, and Zhang Yin, you are all lone and demonic immortals of Eastern Sea's Gu immortal world. Was it easy for you to cultivate to rank 8? Why are you sending yourselves to death by coming before me? Duke Long was still relaxed even when he was surrounded by 4 rank 8 Gu immortals. No need to speak nonsense, let's fight. Shi Miao took the lead. A huge battle erupted. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1689, Failure. Chapter 1689, Failure. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Immemorial White Heaven, Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. Bull Demon, face this move. A golden-haired ape shouted as it charged towards Fong Yuan while carrying the might of wind and thunder. Bull-headed demon god Fong Yuan stood on the spot without moving, quietly looking at the golden-haired ape approaching him. Only when the ape reached in front of him did he lift his hand slightly. Swoosh! At the next moment, his fist that was raised from kneel level suddenly appeared right before his chest. A straight punch. It was an ordinary movement, but in Fong Yuan's current state, it had terrifying might. Before the golden-haired ape could react, it felt an incomparable strength that sent it flying backwards. Bam! After flying a short arc in the air, the golden-haired ape crashed into a mountain. Rocks and boulders were smashed and fell down, burying him. What kind of strength is this? Even Golden Ape is not its match. I have never seen such strength matched with such speed. It is indeed a monster on the same level as the star sea snail. Besides the buried Golden Ape, there were several combat beast warriors around the battlefield, but right now, they all felt a chill as they saw Golden Ape's ending. Pull yourself together. This is clearly a combat technique, it will expend its stamina intensely if it uses it many times. One of the combat beast warriors, Lightning Lion, roared. Fong Yuan had already defeated most of the combat beast warriors sent by Combat Beast King, but there were still 5 who had some strength left. They were the strongest 5 combat beast warriors. There were 2 lion warriors, Lightning Lion and Dharma Lion. The former had a lion head and human body, and grasped lightning powers, while the latter had a human head and lion body, and had extremely powerful recovery. A mountain-sized mollusk, called stone mollusk. Its 2 large shells were open and could spit out countless meteor-like stones. A gigantic rhinoceros that looked like it was forged from steel, it was called Steel Rush. The last one was an exquisite frost butterfly with the size of an adult's fist, it had a human shape with butterfly wings and could let out powerful frost energy. He, stupid bull, you are trapped. Unknowingly, the exquisite frost butterfly had appeared above Fong Yuan's head. Frost energy burst forth, covering Fong Yuan's head and shoulders and quickly spreading down. Roar! Steel Rush let out a loud roar as it rushed straight towards Fong Yuan, causing an earthquake. Have a taste of my new combat technique. Stone Mollusk suddenly started moving in circles rapidly, letting out an astonishing speed as it closed in on Fong Yuan. Its 2 shells opened and it clamped down on Fong Yuan's whole lower half. At the next moment, Steel Rush fiercely knocked Fong Yuan to the ground. Freezing air had frozen Fong Yuan's arms in a large block of deep blue profound ice. The time is now. Lightning Lion and Dharma Lion attacked Fong Yuan's head from the left and right. Die! The 5 of them shouted together, their battle intent soared to their peak state. Boom! An intense explosion occurred, causing boundless surging air currents. The 5 combat beast warriors were like small planks in a hurricane as they coughed out blood and were sent flying away by the air currents. In the dust cloud, a mountain-sized black figure was gradually revealed. Fong Yuan quietly stood on his original spot, he looked at the 5 combat beast warriors that wanted to fight him struggle on the ground, before continuing to move ahead. Bam bam bam. His every step shook the surrounding land and left behind large footprints. Damn it! Don't leave! Stop it! Combat beast warriors struggled to stand up, but only Lightning Lion was able to barely stand up. It is Lightning Lion. Go, you must stop this monster. Lightning Lion charged towards Fang Yuan without any fear once again. His gaze was filled with resolute light. If you want to slaughter the others, you will have to step past my corpse. Boom! No one saw how Fang Yuan attacked, they only saw Lightning Lion getting slammed back at an even faster speed. The giant lion's body was dragged along the ground, creating a 30-meter-sized gully before it stopped. Lightning Lion fainted, there was no movement from him anymore. Fang Yuan continued moving forward. He had controlled himself and did not take the lives of these people. Different from when he had just invaded, after inheriting several inheritances, his attitude had already changed. Right now, the way he looked at it, everything in this beast calamity grotto heaven was his property. This naturally included these combat beast warriors. There is the final inheritance ground left. As long as I take this inheritance, I can combine all the inheritance contents and obtain the complete contents. Soon, Fang Yuan reached before the Star Sea Snail. The Star Sea Snail was an immemorial desolate beast, but the one in front of Fang Yuan was only its corpse. Beast Calamity Immortal had been heavily injured when fighting the Star Sea Snail and had suffered a fatal, irrecoverable wound. On his deathbed, he had left behind the inheritances and also forged this Star Sea Snail into the final inheritance ground. Bull-headed demon god, I have been waiting for you. This generation's combat beast king stood on the top of the Star Sea Snail and looked at Fang Yuan. He was already very old and was like a small ant when compared to Fang Yuan's size. But this ant's eyes burned with blazing flames. Starlight suddenly shined on the Star Sea Snail's body and covered the old man's body. Several breaths later, the starlight became eye-piercing. After the starlight dissipated, a heavily armored giant stood in front of Fang Yuan, only slightly shorter than Fang Yuan. Oh. So this method is not limited to live beasts, it can even be used on an immemorial desolate beast's corpse. Fang Yuan was inwardly surprised. But shortly afterwards, he understood. This transformation path method was reliant on Dao marks and did not differentiate between alive or dead targets. Although the Star Sea Snail was dead, its shell still retained a vast number of star path Dao marks which could be used by the old man. This should be this grotto heaven's greatest trump card, right? Unfortunately, even if it were a living Star Sea Snail, it would be no match for me. Let alone its corpse that has lost so many Dao marks since its death. Fang Yuan mentally sneered as he charged towards the star-armored giant. The battle was intense but the result was within Fang Yuan's expectations. In the scarred battlefield, Fang Yuan was still standing proudly while the star-armored giant was collapsed on the ground on the verge of death. There is no hope. The other combat beast warriors who had come to help out in the battle were kneeling on the ground, their faces were pale. Starlight shined, the star-armored giant once again turned back into the current generation combat beast king and there was also the Star Sea Snail shell with cracks all over it. Fang Yuan examined for a while and discovered the profundities within the Star Sea Snail. He laughed and suddenly spoke, Beast Calamity Heavenly Spirit, are you still not coming out? All the combat beast warriors were dumbstruck and shaken. What did I just hear? That giant monster spoke, it can actually speak human language. Am I hearing things because I am too old and am about to die soon? The combat beast king mumbled with a dull expression. But at the next moment, an even more astonishing scene played out. Beast Calamity Heavenly Spirit flew towards Fang Yuan along with several immortal Gu. The Heavenly Spirit was in the form of a young Qilin, it spoke with a crisp and clear sound, Foreign Gu Immortal, although you came here and obtained many inheritances, you have not obtained my full recognition. You recklessly killed innocent people and rampaged wildly, you are powerful but you can only obtain my main body's immortal killer moves. As for Immortal Gu and this grotto heaven's inheritance rights, don't even think about it. Oh. Fang Yuan let out laughter filled with deep meaning. The young Qilin was solemn, I know what you are thinking, even I won't be able to win against you if you use force. But I can make these immortal Gu self-detonate and destroy the grotto heaven, you will gain nothing from this. Fang Yuan was silent. He felt somewhat troubled when he saw the young Qilan's resolute look. A heavenly spirit was like a land spirit, it would not lie. Feng Yuan was unable to inspect where Beast Calamity Immortal's Immortal Gu were. And his blood-light spirit suppression was not high enough level to pose sufficient threat to the Grotto Heaven's heavenly spirit. So it was like this, the combat beast warriors here were originally a part of the inheritance. I realize Beast Calamity Immortal's intention. After a long while of silence, Feng Yuan suddenly spoke. Even if you understand now, it is too late. Everyone only has one chance. But you are not leaving empty-handed. According to the main body's arrangements, immortal killer moves will be handed to you. The heavenly spirit had made its point clear, it wanted him to leave. After Feng Yuan obtained these immortal killer moves, he did not remain or use force, leaving Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven through the entrance which was opened by the heavenly spirit. Eastern Sea. The battle between 5 rank 8 Gu immortals was astonishing. Large sea waves and tsunamis surged, dark clouds rumbled in the sky with lightning flashing and thunder roaring. Undercurrents rose in the sea, poison path, water path, soul path, and all kinds of terrifying methods had already exterminated all living beings in the surroundings. If you have any methods left, use them. Duke Long was still relaxed. Feng Jin Huang was standing beside him, she was completely safe with not even a hair out of place. But right now, her face was filled with shock. After all, this was the first time she was seeing the fight between rank 8 Gu immortals at such a close distance, this had truly broadened her perspective. Granny Rong, Yang Zihe, and others were solemn and distressed. After truly exchanging moves, they tasted Duke Long's power. Although Duke Long was alone and had a burden, Feng Jin Huang, the 4 Eastern Sea rank 8s were actually unable to gain an upper hand since the start. Despite the 4 immortals using all their strength, they were unable to change the situation. Right now, they already saw signs of defeat. He already has quasi-rank 9 strength, besides an immortal venerable or a demon venerable, we have no way to deal with him. Such powerful strength, as expected of Heavenly Court, as expected of Duke Long. The morale of Granny Rong, Yang Zihe, and the others had already sunk to rock bottom. Damn it, we plotted to get Dragon Palace for so long but Heavenly Court is going to take it away. Sigh, let's go. We are not Duke Long's match and with us being on guard against each other, we cannot cooperate completely, there is no meaning in staying. Seeing there was no choice, the 4 Eastern Sea rank 8s left immediately. Duke Long did not give chase. His goal this time was Immortal Gu House Dragon Palace and his goal never changed. Dragon Palace was corroded by Dream Realms and has already fallen apart, I wonder how many Gu are still remaining. How many core Immortal Gu are damaged? Duke Long sighed inwardly as he moved to take Dragon Palace. At the next moment, an astonishing scene occurred. Dragon Palace suddenly let out an extraordinary splendor and flew to the sky. Duke Long remained standing on the spot, he was not able to obstruct Dragon Palace in time and could only look as it flew away. A trace of blood flowed out from the corners of his lips as his eyes revealed shock. Dragon Palace is actually completely intact, not only this, one of its cores is a Dream Path Immortal Gu. Haha, Duke Long, let's see how you fight against us this time. The 4 Eastern Sea rank 8s had returned. Duke Long's expression sank. The situation had turned troublesome. He was besieged and Dragon Palace had flown away while spreading its aura everywhere, it would definitely create turmoil in Eastern Sea. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1690, Myriad Beings Assimilation Transformation. Chapter 1690, Myriad Beings Assimilation Transformation. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Immortal Killer Move, Myriad Beings Assimilation Transformation. Feng Yuan mumbled. He was sitting on the auspicious cloud moving through empty air in immemorial white heaven, it was vast and boundless. After leaving Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven, he actively absorbed the benefits from this trip. Beast Calamity Immortal's unique method was Immortal Killer Move Myriad Beings Assimilation Transformation. After using this move, it could add a great number of transformation path Dao marks and also transform the target's other Dao marks into transformation path Dao marks. This move expended an enormous amount of immortal essence and also required abundant emotions. These emotions had to be positive and righteous. From this point, Fang Yuan finally realized the cause of the nature of those combat beast warriors in Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. Fang Yuan did not lack immortal essence. Over this period of time, although he had spent a lot in advancing the ranks of his immortal Gu, his gains were similarly a lot. Especially in the later stage of Gu refinement, Fang Yuan's progress was huge and his expenditure had continued to fall. Currently, Fang Yuan's total amount of rank 8 immortal essence was a lot and could support 2 battles of rank 8 level intensity. Fang Yuan had abundant emotions as well. He could easily create the positive emotions through wisdom path methods. His wisdom path attainment was very high after all. What Fang Yuan lacked were immortal Gu. There were 4 immortal Gu that formed this move, among them the core was a rank 8 immortal Gu, adaptation. It went without saying that this was a transformation path immortal Gu, and was also the vital Gu of Beast Calamity Immortal. The other 3 immortal Gu were all rank 7. Even if the Heavenly Spirit does not give me these immortal Gu, I can snatch them. I have already improved Great Thief Ghost Hand and it is now much more reliable. Currently, I only need Heaven Form to constantly scout and find the place where these immortal Gu are hidden, then I can use my theft path method to get them. However, it is somewhat troublesome to obtain the whole of Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. As far as Fang Yuan was concerned, Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven itself had an enormous value to him. But the Heavenly Spirit was able to destroy the Grotto Heaven, so if he rashly used force, his losses would far outweigh his gains. From my deduction based on this myriad being's assimilation transformation, Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven's Gu Immortals might also have a trump card. Desolate Beasts and Ancient Desolate Beasts could be used for myriad beings assimilation transformation, so could the Star Sea Snail's Shell. These Gu Immortals did not grasp myriad beings assimilation transformation. The reason was that Beast Calamity Immortal used this move on the entire Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. That meant, if the situation came to it, the entire Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven could merge with the Gu Immortals through myriad beings assimilation transformation. This could create a temporary rank 8 battle strength. Naturally, Fang Yuan could win against this kind of rank 8, but all of the resulting losses would be incurred on Fang Yuan. Even if he won, Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven, which had used myriad beings assimilation transformation, would suffer severe damage. This means, I need to deduce a way to restrict them from using myriad beings assimilation transformation with the entire Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven. Also, I can use Familiar Face to invade once again. Beast Calamity Heavenly Spirit said a person only had one chance to inherit it, but how strong could its detection ability be? Could it distinguish Fang Yuan's true identity? According to Fang Yuan's deduction, this possibility was very low. However, just as Fang Yuan was deducing restraining methods, he obtained some news. This news was important. Dragon Palace has appeared. Moreover, Duke Long personally made a move but was not able to acquire it. Oh, it was because he was obstructed by an alliance of 4 Eastern Sea rank 8 Gu Immortals. Interesting. Currently, the rank 8 Immortal Gu House Dragon Palace is flying in the skies of Eastern Sea without hiding its aura. It has already created a huge commotion, countless forces and Gu Immortal experts are paying close attention to it. Fang Yuan's eyes shined brightly. He knew of Dragon Palace's existence. There were relevant clues in Shadow Sect's true inheritance. But these clues were only superficial clues and were not significant enough. The most valuable content recorded was, Dragon Palace had a restriction that its inheritor must be a dragon man. Although Fang Yuan wanted to own a rank 8 Immortal Gu house, he never had a good opportunity or time. Although he had Bai Ning Bing, it would be difficult to search for Dragon Palace and it would take a great amount of time and energy. According to the previous situation, although the rank 8 Immortal Gu house was strong, were Fang Yuan to take the risk to search for it and end up unable to obtain it, he would quickly be pursued and hunted by Heavenly Court. The benefits were huge but the risk was even greater, so Fang Yuan had not made a move. So Heavenly Court had been secretly searching for Dragon Palace and almost got it. Knowing this, Fang Yuan could not help but praise those 4 Eastern Sea rank 8s, great job. He did not think for long. Fang Yuan immediately left immemorial White Heaven and moved towards Eastern Sea. Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven was here and would not be discovered easily, he could deal with it slowly. Dragon Palace's matter was urgent, he could not let Heavenly Court take it. This was a rank 8 Immortal Gu house and had an unknown dream path Immortal Gu. Days later, Eastern Sea. Boom! Amidst an intense explosion, Gu Immortal Xianxia spat out a large mouthful of blood while retreating rapidly. Duke Long gave a loud roar, his body turned into light rays as he charged at Immortal Gu House Dragon Palace. The distance between the two was rapidly shrinking, but at the crucial moment, Granny Rome moved and blocked Duke Long. Her whole body was releasing purple gas, she was heavily injured and was pale as paper. Duke Long's momentum was ferocious but his pupils shrunk when he saw the purple poisonous air around Granny Rome. He rapidly changed his direction and detoured. Granny Rome was a poison path Gu immortal, this purple poisonous air was her trump card and even Duke Long was not willing to touch it. Granny Rome was not in a good state, over these days of fighting, her loss was the greatest. One of her core immortal Gu was destroyed, her speed fell greatly and she was forced into an extremely passive state. She had relied on her determination and the help of the other 3 Gu immortals to persist till now. It was very wise of Duke Long to detour around Granny Rome. Granny Rome could only watch Duke Long with a bitter expression but was unable to give chase. Among the 4 rank 8s, the other 2 were still several li away. Boom! Duke Long flew above Dragon Palace and slammed at this rank 8 Immortal Gu house heavily. Bam! The Immortal Gu house fell into the sea, immediately raising an enormous wave. Dragon Palace acted on its own, it did not fly to the sky again, instead moving deeper into the sea. Duke Long was about to give chase when suddenly, his body paused and he struck towards the area left of him. There looked to be nobody to his left, but his ferocious attack was suddenly stopped, it was blocked by a Gu immortal. The Gu immortal revealed his figure and smiled at Duke Long. As expected of Senior Duke Long, you could see through my disguise. Duke Long frowned, sneering, Song Chi Yuan, you are the first Supreme Elder of Song Clan, a rank 8 Gu immortal, but you actually sneak attacked. The Gu immortal was Song Chi Yuan. It seems Eastern Sea's righteous path is finally making a move. Who else is there, come out now. Duke Long glanced below at the sea, Dragon Palace gradually disappeared from his sight. He did not give chase, instead hovering in the air while letting out terrifying battle intent. At the next moment, 2 more Gu immortals showed themselves. One was a middle-aged man in blue robe, he was Qin Yu clan's first Supreme Elder Qin Yuan. Another looked to be a young girl with bright eyes, exquisite rainbow clouds coiled around her body. She was Hua clan's first Supreme Elder Hua Kai Yun. Lord Duke Long. Hua Kai Yun was just about to speak. Enough nonsense. Duke Long shouted and took the initiative to attack. Boom boom boom. Several immortal killer moves were exchanged, the 3 righteous path rank 8s were immediately suppressed and forced back. Duke Long is too powerful, he can easily suppress 3 Eastern Sea rank 8s by himself. Fang Yuan was inwardly shocked, he had transformed into a sea snake and was currently swimming in the sea. Righteous path rank 8s were often stronger than lone rank 8 cultivators. This was because they had more exemplary immortal killer moves and ample cultivation resources. The alliance of these 3 righteous path rank 8s could absolutely win against the 4-person alliance of Granny Rong, Yang Zihe, Zhang Yin, and Shimiao. But they were still not Duke Long's match. Duke Long was too ferocious, he was only using transformation path methods even until now, and had not used his most proficient Chi path killer moves. Comment. From this, one could see how powerful Purple Mountain True Monarch was, he had actually forced Duke Long to use his signature Chi path killer moves. It was not that Purple Mountain True Monarch was weak, but Duke Long was simply too strong. Fang Yuan looked at the distant Dragon Palace and slowly left the battlefield. Since Song Chi Yuan, Qin Yuan and others appeared, it meant Eastern Sea's righteous path had already discussed and made decisions. Among the 5 regions, Eastern Sea was the richest in resources and thus had the highest number of rank 8 Gu immortals. Only 3 righteous path rank 8s have appeared currently, there are definitely more coming. Fang Yuan decided to bide his time. Sure enough, like he expected, 2 more righteous path rank 8s showed up and obstructed Dragon Palace. Zhang Yin, Granny Rong and others quickly came and fought these 2 righteous path rank 8s. A huge battle erupted under the sea. Fang Yuan quickly hid in the mud at the bottom of the sea, waiting for a good opportunity to strike. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.